Denny Hamlin's still not signed at Gibbs. Now, Gibbs and Hamlin and all them are talking the talk. We're going to get this done. Denny said that it is late. He would love to have had it finished by now. This is actually later than he'd rather. He would rather have this done by now. And I know Denny's part of the Dirty Mo media family, but it is a storyline.
And he's going to want that contract because the Dirty Mo family is not going to pay him what Joe Gibbs could pay him.
Yeah, funny. But this feels similar to Kyle Busch, and I know I'm not trying to insinuate that Denny's going to end up somewhere else, but why is this not done, right? Denny's worth it. It seems like this should be pretty simple. So what is the holdup? I'm just curious as to what is the delay in getting this finalized. And the risk, in my opinion, kind of falls on Joe Gibbs and his team that this drags out any further, because Denny has options, his own race team. Now I don't know whether he'd really drive for himself right out now, but I think at some point, gosh, if you own a Cup team and you're in the twilight of your career, right? He's got, let's say, 5 amazing years left. You're going to want to run a couple of those in your own car, right? I would think so, right? Like, to finish your career in something you built would be incredible. And they're good enough. They're fast enough. And so what if, imagine, I know they haven't this year. They haven't outperformed Gibbs this year. But imagine if they had. Imagine if they were winning, imagine if they were in a couple wins for each driver, cars running good, and we're sitting here with Denny unsigned. That'd be a damn big story, don't you think?
We'd certainly expect him to allude to it.
All the media would be hammering him.
Oh, would be, yeah, every week.
Hammering him.
Every week. I'm a little surprised. Is he getting hammered right now? I know Joe Gibbs brought it up the other day.
The conversation started.
Yeah, when he won a few weeks ago. Denny won at Pocono, and Joe Gibbs was talking about how he's going to sign Denny Hamlin for the rest of his life, or he made a big joke about it. But the fact is that
this weekend's the first weekend I really started seeing quotes in the media where Denny's having to say, hey, man, here's, it's not done. I wish it was done. It should be done. It's taking long. This is late. We should have had it signed sooner. And he had a couple, vague references to it being delayed, and everybody's like saying all the right things. Hey, I want to retire here. Joe Gibbs Racing saying Denny's definitely going to be racing here next year. And that sounds great. And more than likely, hey, that's what happens. But I'm just damn curious as to what's the holdup.
Got to be sponsorships.
What's the net called on?
My theory is
what's the fishing net called on at the bottom of the ocean?
Look, my theory is usually when these things are delayed, usually these things move at the speed of the sponsorships and all that stuff. Not to say that they're looking for money. I'm not insinuating that, but I just know that usually that's the other cog in the wheel, right? Yeah. But it's interesting if that's the case. That would have been the same scenario that Kyle Busch was in. They lacked the funding, right? Yeah. Or they had the sponsorship stuff hold up, and that did not end well. That had Kyle Busch go and do another race team. So would Denny leave JGR to go to his race team? That I hadn't even considered that, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
he certainly has options.
Well, he'd need a charter.
You're right.
That's probably the biggest hurdle. If there was one to be had, man, I think he would have to maybe already considering it. Who knows? Denny is certainly, brainstorming. But listen, I remember when the deal with Kyle started rumbling in the media, the talking points were all the same, man. Kyle's going to be here. We're going to make this work. We're going to figure it out. We're going to put it together. Yes, we got some hurdles, but we all want him. He wants to be here. All the same stuff.
Yeah, especially Truex just signed a couple weeks ago, so now all that attention is now only on Denny. He's the only piece left for them.
Yep.
So it's going to be heightened over the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
It is. That's a good point because you also have, again, you have the Toyota there's seats available at Toyota as well. And
What do you mean?
got John Hunter Nemechek that's kind of sitting there in the in the wings.
He's going to drive the 42 next year.
I believe so, right?
Yeah.
Is that confirmed?
No.
Or is that just what you suspect?
Suspect.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll drive the 42 next year.
That's what I think. At least that's what the 42 and Toyota would probably prefer. You know, that John Hunter do that. And John Hunter's probably got to see what he needs to see to make that commitment from the team, from Toyota, that things are going to improve there.
Yeah.
Because he's already done that. John Hunter's already got in a car that he, shuffled him back to the truck, the truck series and then now Xfinity. So he's done this cycle to Cup and back. He's not doing it again. He's not going to get in another car in the Cup series that doesn't perform. You recall that, Mike?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, though. So, again, you're going to probably get mad at me for asking this. It's a complete hypothetical. But you said, wouldn't you want to drive your own stuff, especially at the end of your career? And I'm curious. The first thing I thought about was, do you think that your dad would have ever left RCR to go run a DEI car at the end of his career? Like, would he have ever done that?
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Yeah.
So, I do think there are scenarios. And, Denny and his history with Coach Gibbs, I would almost – it would be something. It would be something for him to ever leave JGR. I just can't imagine it either, frankly.
I don't think I don't think if I was going to have to put money down on this, I'd say I'd put my money that he signs with Gibbs.
Sure.
But I certainly think that, we ought to – it's a story that I think it will get bigger unless they can get this contract done.